So here's a question: as engine technologies improve and particle emissions decline, will the health effects decline into insignificance, and if so, when? And sort of related to that is a question, and I think Tom alluded to this in some of his presentation. All the major studies are with, quote, historical diesel. How do we calculate the risk of today's diesel? And then another question just related to the change in the fuel, the removal of sulfur, and what the implications are. So I think these questions relate to how do we, in fact, use some of the historical data to deal with now and I think the future. So, Tom?
Yeah, and just one thing to keep in mind is not only the particulate matter levels are coming down to near zero in terms of diesel emissions, but a lot of other things are coming down. The NOx is coming down. Hydrocarbons, as I mentioned, that particle trap is catalyzed with platinum, so it burns off not only the particles, but the hydrocarbons come down to near zero. So we're not going to know, just like now, I don't think we know, we can, in my mind, attribute all the health effects to particulate matter. Once all these new technology diesel engines are in place, it's not just particles, it's a lot of the pollution. And that's probably a good thing. Maybe we won't know exactly what was brought down was attributed, but I would predict, and I think the studies Dan is overseeing at HEI is really going to give us a handle on that.
Yes, we actually are testing the newest diesels, but in addition, there is a set of studies that have been done over many years, actually several of them in roadway tunnels that have tracked quite dramatically reductions in emissions over time as new rules have been put in place, showing a reduction in the diesel emissions. There haven't been such a set of studies, but there probably should be now that we are seeing much, much cleaner diesels. So as that mix increases, that's only been for the last 2 years, that there would need to be some increase. I would say that our ACES study, which ARB and others are helping to fund, has published its first report on the dramatic reductions in emissions, including ultrafine emissions from the heavy-duty diesel trucks and buses, even during regeneration of the filters.
Yeah. Just a quick corollary to that is, and I think Dr. Lipford touched on this, the high emitters, I think, are the issue now. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there, and the emissions program here in California apparently isn't working because those are still there. I don't know exactly why, but I think if there's a focus on that, you know, that would be the next step, rather than putting more and more after treatment and controls on the new vehicles, the new diesel, the new cars. Let's go after the high emitters, and some of those are new vehicles. It's not necessarily just the old vehicles that are high emitters.
Roger, and then Melanie.
I just joined the answer to this back to the question you were asked about, has anybody seen a death from diesel exhaust? And you went through a very logical explanation, which you said that going down the line of assumptions and calculations, one could make that calculation. Using those same assumptions, we'd say, based on the same number of vehicles operating today, we'd have a 99% reduction or greater using the same models, because the new technology really is that effective. It's a combination of the engine, the control system, the exhaust after treatment, and that ultra-low sulfur fuel.
I was just going to say that the risk estimates are based on per microgram per cubic meter. So as that drops, yes, your risk estimates drop.
Okay.